I'm gonna regret this. Dear Theo, today I thought I would humiliate myself and share some of my old writing. I'm gonna regret this. I wrote this particular story pre-2011. Let's back it up to maybe 2008. I want to say I wrote this story 10 years ago. It is called Cabbages because I got through the entire book and could not think of a good title. I'd written the whole thing. I literally have, you can't see. First of all, note that I use my old vocabulary book. Cabbages, an irrelevant title to the plot. There are no cabbages in this book. This is one of those ones that I actually would love to rewrite. So the basic premise of this story is that there are 4 kids who live in this village, and they overhear a plot that the elders are trying to take over the world. And of course, no one believes them. This is the respected elders of the land. So the kids and the elders' talking cat. I just realized a plot hole in this. How is the talking cat not in on this entire scheme? So the kids and the talking cat set off on their own to go and stop the elders from taking over the world. And I love this premise. I want to rewrite this. This is some years in the future. I'm going to just completely rewrite this. At one point, I made up my own alphabet, and that is me writing Katie 3 times, I believe. My handwriting's gotten a little better, I should like to think. A little. Not much. So, I thought I would read the prologue. Maybe part of the first chapter, if not the entire one. No, I'm not reading the entire chapter. I would like to keep some dignity intact. But look at this. It's not loose leaf. This is just where the page ripped out. This is a horrendous prologue. I looked over this real quick before I started this video. Prologue. Strange things always happen to children. Does Mom, I jumped on the bed and hit my head on the ceiling, but Bob made me do it so he would play with me sound familiar? Or what about, no, I didn't eat the cookie. Susan ate the whole jar and didn't share. Before I begin the story, let me give you a little background on these children. That was a horrible transition, Catherine. Ash was Ashford James Bradson and was born to James Ashford Bradson and Sarah Marie Polin Bradson. Why? If someone watching this happens to be a book editor or an agent, I did learn how to weave backstory in a little more gracefully. This is 10-year-old writing. I have improved. Please don't even assume that my writing is still this bad. Jordan was Jordanamir Todd Polin and the son of Huckleberry. We went from Jordanamir to Huckleberry. Todd Polin and Matilda Jean Bradson Polin. Jordan was Ash's cousin on both sides. Dom was Ash and Jordan's cousin, and cousin to the 3rd degree. His mother was Dinadan. I went full Elvish here, good grief. Dinadan and Andor Bradson, and his mother was Caroline Augusta Polin. She was Huckleberry and Sarai's cousin. Dom was christened Anandordom. Anandordom. Dan Bradson. Dan? James, Matilda, and Dinadan were all brothers and sisters. They had one more sister named Gertrude. The last child is a girl named Cygnus. She was adopted by the blacksmith of Gyra, whose name was Benjamin Smith. I went from Anandordom to Benjamin Smith. He was a bachelor. Okay. Cygnus was adopted when she was 3. Her hair was cut short, so if she went into the forge, she couldn't set her hair on fire and she'd stay as cool as possible. Besides Benjamin, his mother, whom Cygnus called Nona, also raised Cygnus. She watched her on days Benjamin was very busy. Now we've got enough to work with. You think, Catherine? In my defense, I think I had just read 5 Children and It by E. Nesbit, and it's a very different style, I don't want to say mine is similar because mine is so bad, but it was kind of in that same style. I think I'd read a whole bunch of E. Nesbit right in a row, and that's how this ended up. Part 1, Chapter 1, Hadrian and Sabina. Look at how I divided those chapters up. This little symbol with the... Part 1. Is the entire book here? I think this is the entire book in here. 36, Epilogue. It's only 97 pages long. This isn't even novel. The last novel I finished was only 32K. That's first draft. Thank you. So I'm very bad about being concise and short and straight to the point. And I am trying to get better at that, but good grief. This one's only 97 pages long. So it's only about 25K if I wrote 250 words a page, and it doesn't look like I did. This is a short book. Chapter 1, Hadrian and Sabina. Ash was the oldest. He was 12. Jordan was 11. Dom good grief, was 9. The 3 cousins were on their way to the house of an elderly couple called Hadrian and Sabina. The boys went every Wednesday and Saturday for afternoon tea. Why? Usually, Hadrian would tell a story. Hadrian and Sabina had a black cat named Tempest. Unknown to many, Tempest could talk. As always, Sabina greeted the boys cheerfully, invited them to sit down, served tea, then sat down and worked on her knitting. Occasionally, Cygnus would be present, and this was one of those days. Jumping down to Hadrian's story, he was smoking. I think I must have been still in my Lord of the Rings obsessed phase at this point. He blew 2 smoke rings before he started the story. A long, long time ago, when the stars Mick and Hyle were but 3 months from touching, an elven girl planned with 2 elders of Gyra a plot which would enable them to rule the whole world. On the one night of the year when Mick and Hyle touched, they would go to the Tower of Nash, drop a mixture of many a thing, too many to remember, onto a certain tile. The tile 3 up and 5. He is giving them his exact plot to take over the world. Why did I think that was cool foreshadowing? That's just kind of dumb. The story went on to say that 4 children found out about this plan and stole the file that had the mixture in it and saved the world. Katie, we need to have a talk about foreshadowing and prophecies and all that good stuff. So do I continue and humiliate myself on camera, or do I just... The children thanked Hadrian and Sabina, then went home to supper. I think I was trying to combine the coolness of something like The Lord of the Rings with Beatrix Potter, because this sounds very... As Ash, Jordan, and Dom's families lived in the same house, each boy took turns telling a story. How did 3 families all... That must have been a massive house, Katie. You know, Huck said after the boys had finished, Hadrian probably told that story because every 50 years Mick and Hyle touch, and it's the only 3 months till that time. Very perceptive, Dad. Very perceptive. Is there anything else in this mess that I should share? The 4, thankful for another chance to say goodbye, were about to knock on the door when they started overhearing Hadrian and Sabina talk to him. September 8th, the woman said. That night we will be in the process of preparing a kingdom. They're monologuing again. Do you think anyone actually taking over the world will talk to each other like, yes, we will finally take over the world? Mwahaha! Did they actually talk to each other like that? Everyone will bow, everyone will respect, Sabina said. Just the sound of our names and they will cringe in fear, Hadrian said. These are not the sweet elders that we thought they were a chapter ago. No, I'm sorry, 2 chapters ago. This is already chapter 3. And we shall be invincible, the woman exclaimed with much vigor. Wow. How my elf cousins will be envious. And then they literally tell them, they literally are talking about where they left this file mixture stuff that they had talked about earlier. Where exactly it is. Tempest the cat jumps through the window, grabs it, and jumps back out. And then the kids take off. Good grief. Actually, the kids go and tell their parents that they're trying to take over the world, and then they take... Okay. We're done with that for today. I got better at writing. Don't take that as anywhere close to a sample of my writing quality now. I did get so much better. Today's advice, I guess, is keep writing. Keep writing. 8 years ago, that's exactly when I wanted to write. Write for you, write for yourself, write exactly what you want to write. If it doesn't go anywhere, that's okay. You may be able to one day take the ideas and the premise that it gave and bring them into something better, or you may have something to laugh and cringe at 10 years down the road. See you next week, Theo.